What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and in today's video we're going to pick up right where we left off. Now, the last video we ended talking about the Omnibus Spending Bill that just passed, and there's some things inside of that bill I feel you might need to be aware of. So there's a lot of pork bellying going on, and I noticed this video yesterday from Coin Bureau called US Digital Dollar CBDC Tests Are Here. In this video, he's referring to the CBDCs that are being pushed forth or tested by Christian Carlo, who is the former CFTC commissioner. And he's also got some very strong partners in this particular thing. And he's also been affiliated with BlockFi. But he's pro-crypto, or at least he appears to be. He's very active in crypto discussions lately. And what we're missing here from Guy's video is the fact that there is a difference between what they're trying to do and what the U.S. Treasury and the Fed is trying to do. So take a listen to the end of this clip here, and then we'll get into what's really going on.
Funnily enough, the Digital Dollar Project's attempts to appeal to the crypto community appear to have backfired because it seems to have been lumped into the same bucket by the powers that be. It doesn't look like the Fed or any other central bank is taking the project seriously, despite its WEF affiliations. And sure, the Digital Dollar Project was able to recruit some financial heavyweights for its CBDC settlement pilot, but it doesn't have all that much to show for it. Never mind the fact that each of these institutions is working on other CBDC pilots and, in some cases, working on their own digital currencies.
So while they're in the private sector working on trying to get the U.S. to adopt what they're creating, let me read to you what actually took place inside of this new bill. So this comes to us courtesy of Chris Marks. Chris, if you're listening, thank you for sharing this with us. This website is Cory Diggs. So, National Strategy to Develop Distributed Ledger Technology for Digital ID tucked into the 2023 defense budget. So the corrupt DC Uniparty has conspired against voters who elected a Republican majority in the House to put a stop to wasteful spending driving inflation by pushing for a massive omnibus bill as the Christmas holiday deadline looms. In a setup for the vote on the omnibus bill on December 15, 2022, Congress passed a one-week continuing resolution along with the National Defense Authorization Act of 2023, which is the defense budget for next year. The NDAA is headed to Biden's desk for signature. Members on both sides of the aisle have praised their efforts on the passage of the NDAA, which includes repealing the COVID injection mandate for service members, while revoking the COVID jab mandate for military members is a victory garnering much of the focus. Other aspects of the $858 billion defense bill have gone completely unnoticed. The devil is always in the details. Tucked inside this massive defense bill is the creation of a national research and development strategy for distributed ledger technology to build the framework for a digital enslavement system nationwide. Though this agenda has been explicitly laid out by the Biden regime over the course of 2022, it has been years in the making as outlined in the Cory Diggs report entitled The Global Landscape on Vaccine ID Passports Part 3 and Part 4. On March 9, 2022, the Biden regime issued an executive order for ensuring responsible development of digital assets, in which the White House called for an evolution and alignment of the United States government approach to digital assets, while placing the highest urgency on the development of the United States central bank digital currency. Central banks around the world, including the Federal Reserve, are currently advancing in research development and implementation of CBDCs. This initiative came despite support from the American public, which has remained adamantly opposed to a U.S. CBDC. In June 2022, the Fed published public comments on their proposal for a CBDC. Of the 2,052 comments excluding bank entries and individuals soliciting government contracts, 71% were concerned or outright opposed to the idea of a CBDC in the United States based on a Cato Institute study. The Biden EO called for the director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy and Chief Technology Officer, in consultation with the Treasury Secretary, the Fed chairs, as well as heads of other relevant agencies, to report back to the White House within 180 days of the technology infrastructure necessary to implement a CBDC nationwide. In response to the White House executive order, in September of 2022, the Office of Science Technology Policy issued their report on technical evaluation for a U.S. central bank digital currency system, which recommends that the OSTP and the National Science Foundation lead a national digital assets research and development agenda to support the Fed's CBDC exploration, as well as scale up relevant technology infrastructure capacity and expertise across the federal government. While the White House press release noted that this agenda will also cover topics related to CBDCs, it failed to mention their intentions to develop distributed ledger technology for the purposes of nationwide digital identity program or a vaccine passport system. The G20 declaration signed 2 months later did, however, reaffirm the Biden regime's commitment to implementing vaccine ID passports while also exploring a CBDC payment system. The declaration states, "We acknowledge the importance of shared technical standards and verification methods under the framework of the IHR 2005 to facilitate seamless international travel, interoperability, and recognizing digital solutions and non-digital solutions, including proof of vaccines. We support continued international dialogue and collaboration on the establishment of trusted global digital health networks as part of the efforts to strengthen prevention and response to future pandemics that should capitalize and blind on the success of the existing standards and digital COVID-19 certificates." While this was in the works, the Department of Defense awarded the Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability contract to Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Oracle in a shared $9 billion contract on December 7th. The cloud computing contract extends through June of 2028. Cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and distributed ledger technology are all key components to the development of their digital prison. The agenda to build the infrastructure for a digital enslavement system, which the Biden regime has methodically laid out over the course of 2022, will now be implemented through congressional authorization under the National Defense Authorization Act of 2023, which Biden is expected to sign at the end of the week, which this is taking place right now, by the way. Tucked into the 4,400-page NDAA in Section 5913 is the creation of a national research and development strategy for distributed ledger technology. Distributed ledger technology research for this project may include use cases for distributed ledger technologies across various industry sectors and government, including applications pertaining to digital identity, medical information management, inclusive financial services, and digital credentials. In other words, this is a national strategy to develop the infrastructure for the entire digital enslavement system, which includes digital IDs, vaccine passports, CBDCs, and of course, a social credit system. And there it is in black and white so that you can see it for yourself. So the creation of a national strategy for research and development of distributed ledger technology outlined in Section 5913 of the NDA does not solely focus on building the infrastructure. It intends to promoting increased participation from the public by facilitating research on human behavior. For example, the Director of National Science Foundation is tasked with supporting research which may include the social behaviors of participants in decentralized networks enabled by distributed ledger technologies. Furthermore, research by the NSF may include the social behavior and economic implications associated with the growth of applications and distributed ledger technologies, including decentralization in business, financial, and economic systems. In addition, the director of the National Institute of Standards and Technology is authorized to carry out an applied research project which must identify potential applications of distributed ledger technologies, including those that could benefit activities at the Department of Commerce or at other federal agencies. This applied research project may include facilitating broader participation in distributed ledger technologies of populations historically underrepresented in technology, business, and financial sectors. Of course, the initiative to promote broader acceptance and distributed ledger technology is framed in such a way to address equity and inclusion. However, historically unprecedented populations aren't the only ones who resist this agenda. More than 2/3 of Americans are concerned or outright opposed to it, based on public comment to the Fed's CBDC proposal. Any research into human behavior and facilitating universal acceptance of this technology would likely be used against the American public, who has defied their attempts to impose a digital enslavement system. While specific funding amounts to build this distributed ledger infrastructure are not disclosed under Section 5913 of the NDAA, the legislation states that research and development funding under the national strategy will be incorporated in the development of annual budget requests for federal research agencies. As with most projects involving the federal government, the timeline on this national strategy is slow and methodical. Within 1 year of the enactment of this NDAA, the director of the National Institute of Standards and Technology is instructed to brief members of Congress as well as the president on the progress and findings of the initiative. Furthermore, the director must release a report to the public within 1 year following the completion of the project. Fortunately, this means there is still time to fight back. However, GOP members of Congress have betrayed the voters who elected a Republican majority in the House by pushing for the passage of an omnibus bill before the Christmas holiday, which would essentially strip the Republicans' leverage to defund projects like this and many others in 2023. It is critical for the American public to make their voices heard in opposition to this national strategy to develop a digital enslavement system. Hopefully, the incoming Republican majority in the House will listen, grow a spine, and stand against this nationwide initiative to digitally monitor, track, and control every aspect of American lives. So there's some really heavy stuff in here, guys, and I really want to hear y'all's opinions. Hopefully everything that's been read in this won't get suppressed by the YouTube algorithm, but share it, fair it, but don't take a slice of my pie. That's all I got for you guys. I'm out. See you tomorrow.